Hello.
Hello. Couple of people in the chat already. Alice.
Excellent.
Hello, Alice. Nice to see you. And Jack Dubs is here. Here we go, he says. Welcome to you. And welcome to anyone who may watch the replay on demand of number 8 of the old Sodcast. I'm here, as always, with my co-host, partner in crime, although his crime is not different to mine. I'm not sure the technical legality of things to do with animals, but but it's Jason Clow of Not Suitable for Mum. Hi, Jason.
Hello.
You're right, mate.
I'm good and ready to go, mate. This is going to be a good one.
Oh, well, I think they've all been good so far.
All right. An even better one then.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's make it the best yet, everybody.
Yay!
Good evening, Jonathan Ring. Nice to see you in here, Ringles. You had a good week then, Jace?
Not too bad. Not a lot going on, but fair to middling. Could have been a bit more exciting.
Been listening to much music this week?
Yeah, a little bit. I got myself a couple of CDs and what have you. And also some of the recommendations by the vinyl community I've been checking out on Spotify in case I like them enough to want to get them. So, a few here and there. Yeah.
Thank you, vinyl community. Jason thought it was an episode about complicated albums, not compilation albums.
Well, they could be complicated.
Well, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Rings, well, it's not giving a spoiler because it's in the title anyway. But Jonathan Ring has told you what today's edition of the Sodcast is about. We are talking about our favourite compilation albums. Now then, this can mean a few things. It can be like a favourite band or artist's best of, greatest hits, singles collection. It could also mean like a film soundtrack or a TV soundtrack, that kind of thing. And it could be like a sort of various artists compilation, like now that's what I call music type of deal. So, a lot of scope here. I'm not going to say what mine are because we'll go through them enough anyway. But we'll kick off with your first pick, Jason.
Oh, okay, all right.
We've got 4 each, by the way. Let us know in the chat, obviously, if there's any that you think we should have mentioned or any of your favourites, etc. So, Jason, fire away.
Yeah, okay. So, mine's a bit of an obscure one. I'm just looking at my notes here a minute when it came out. I think it was 88, something like that. I did have a date written down, but I can't find it. No, there we are. Came out in September 1990. Okay, and it's actually a charity record, and I really don't own many of these, but it is Red Hot and Blue. It's the AIDS benefit album.
I recall you mentioning that somewhere before.
Yeah. I may still have it on tape, but for life of me, I can't find it. So I literally picked this up at the beginning of the week off of eBay for, I think it was about £2.80. And I listened to it back. It's not quite as good as I remember it, but I do like it. For those of you that don't know, it's for sort of AIDS benefit or what have you, right? Just reading that as well. All right, yeah. Just and basically it was there's a guy that used to write stuff for musicals, called Cole Porter.
Yeah.
Very sort of it was done by people like Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, all that sort of thing. It was kind of the sort of lounge lizards swing kind of stuff. If people know what I mean by that, one person,
I know. Yeah.
A lot of them are like that, and a lot of the covers are pretty much that. You've got people like Lisa Stansfield on there. I think it's Katie Lang, a few others. And it's all very sort of similar. It's just them doing it in that style. But there's other tracks on there which really are just taking the name and not much else, but it's related to the subject matter. If you get my meaning. I'll give you an illustration anyway. I've picked 5 songs that I like off of the album. I've done this with each one because I wasn't sure exactly how we wanted to do this tonight. But I've picked 5 tracks off the album, and I can say what they are. So the first one is "I've Got You Under My Skin" by Neneh Cherry.
Yeah, I think I know that one. That version by Neneh Cherry.
Yeah, it's very much a sort of rap, and she's talking about the disease and how it affects people, all the rest of it. So obviously, very fitting. And the fact that I suppose if you like, the disease itself is under your skin, right?
Let's not get too medical here.
No. But you know what I mean. I'm trying to sort of get the point of the song across. Anyway, that's a really good one. Very, very well done. Very, very different, but it's got the basic hook. I've got you under my skin. You're a part of me. Blah 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 blah. So that's a good one. Then you've got Jungle Brothers. I Get a Kick Out of You. That's again, it's not really anything. I think they've maybe the slight bit of the piano in it that they've used as a bit of a hook in the middle, and that's about the only similarity. But again, that's about a sort of a relationship and all the rest of it. And they're talking about Jimmy hats and all that malarkey, right? What's the other ones we've got here then? Oh, quite a cool one. And I'd never heard this song before. It's called Miss Otis Regrets. With Just One of Those Things. So it's 2 tracks in one. And it's Kirsty MacColl accompanied by the Pogues. And I like what they've done with it. It's got the kind of folky feel to it without oversaturating it.
Yeah.
In that effect, so you've got they've made it their own song, right? Which a lot of artists, when they cover things or whatever they do, they do a cover version. It's not really much different to the original, so it's different enough. We're still remaining true to the original idea of the song. I mean that's a really good one. And this one you'll like. We've been talking about both these sites actually. We've been talking about on and off on this since we've been doing them. Is Too Darn Hot by Erasure.
I'm a big Erasure fan, but I have to hold my hands up and say I don't think I know that one.
It's pretty good. In fact, I'd probably say potentially it's my favourite track on the album. Yeah, quite possibly. It's still Erasure, but it's kind of almost got like a funkiness to it.
Yeah.
It's a bit sort of dancey, and you could dance to it quite easily. Sort of smooth grooves almost. Yeah, but very, very well done. I can never remember the guy's bloody name now. Andy Bell. Yeah, his voice really suits the track, I think. And then the last one I've got is another one we talked about. Is Jimmy Somerville, and it's called From This Moment On.
Right.
And it's there's little bits of it in the way that he's singing. It's almost like he's in a similar style to what's it? What's the Donna Summer song? I Feel Love.
Yeah.
It's got that. It's almost got that kind of feel to it. It is a different song, but it's got that kind of undertone to it.
Ring there.
Yes,
It raised $1 million for
it did indeed.
Charity, presumably.
Yeah.
It's a Wikipedia. Thank you for that, Jonathan.
Yeah, and I think it was one of the first records to actually to do that. Be for that cause, shall we say? I'm just seeing what else I've got on it. Jonathan's said that. It was for the activist group ACT UP. And heralded as one of the first major AIDS benefits in the music industry. So there you go. So yeah, really, that's I think all that I've got to say about that. What I would suggest you check it out. It is different. I don't necessarily like Cole Porter as such. Some of the songs were okay, and they're ones that if you've ever heard of any sort of musicals at all, then you probably have heard of some of his songs.
Now, is it Cole Porter who did not him literally, but he wrote originally the theme to Birds of a Feather, the sitcom?
Not that I know of.
What'll I do when you...
Unless that in itself was a cover.
Well, of course that was a cover because it was the cast who sung it.
Oh, right, okay. I didn't know that. I don't remember it.
Austin who sung... well, they sung a later version. It was another singer, but
yeah,
that's what I said. I said Cole Porter wrote. I think it was him. I sometimes get him mixed up with like Gershwin and people like that because I'm not an expert on.
Now you say it,
that era of composers.
Yeah, I can't remember what the song was. I mean, the album title comes from the musical that he released in 1936. So, but the funny thing is about it is none of the tracks that are on this album were in the Red Hot and Blue musical. It's all other stuff that he's done. They just borrowed the name. So it's kind of a bit strange in a way.
Yeah, I think out of those 5 favourite tracks you picked, I think the only one I do actually know was the Nena Cherry cover, and I think that's because that did come out as a single at some point.
Yeah, I believe it did, yes, and I think it did quite well.
Some of the others may have. I'm certain the Erasure one didn't. I mean, unless it appeared as a B-side somewhere.
I think Nena Cherry's got to number 18, I seem to remember seeing. I could be wrong.
Oh, yeah, it would have got at least top 40, no doubt higher.
Yeah. No, I mean, they've got people like David Byrne on there doing Don't Fence Me In. Thompson's Twins did... It's okay. They did a version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but instead of talking, they're sort of doing this rather deadpan, almost like a rapping it. It doesn't really work. But yeah, overall, I'd probably say the album gets about 6.5 out of 10, something like that.
Really? So, is that all?
Yeah, well, there's the songs on there that I like are strong.
Breaking news: we're now not doing favourite compilation albums; we're doing above average ones.
Sorry, I was trying to find one. It was when I had it originally. Yes, it was probably one of my favourites. It's the old rose tinted glasses.
So you picked one that you think's crap now. All right.
No, I don't think it's crap. I just don't think it's as good as I remember it. Maybe I had different taste back then. Anyway, apologies for that. I do still like it. It was worth me buying.
For an album he chose and he's rated it. I know. Any disgraceful. There were a few of those Red Hot compilations that came out, weren't there?
That's the only one I've actually come across, to be fair.
I've heard of others. There was like one that was like proper, like a lot of dance music on it that I think came out.
Oh, right, okay.
Years or so later. I'm no expert because I've not got any of them, but there was in that Red Hot and series that I think that one you've got was probably the first, I think. But there was other ones, probably ones that you might enjoy today.
I may even have listened to them.
You don't like that one anymore, even though it says favourite compilation albums.
Yeah. Well, it was a favourite. It was a favourite.
It was a favourite. Yeah.
The others are definitely favourites.
Back then, it was also into Samantha Fox and.
Well, there you go. Then there you go.
Intense conveniences.
Yeah. my taste changed dramatically in the early 90s. Anyway,
so there we go. Red Hot and what? Sorry, was it
Red Hot and Blue?
Red Hot and Blue, yeah.
I give it a listen. I do recommend you go and
if you look up the Red Hot and series, you'll notice there's. I don't think there's been any since maybe the late 90s.
No, there was.
But there's been quite a few of them because I thought if you'd got one, you might have got some of the others.
No. I mean, now you say about the dance one, it does ring a few bells, but I couldn't tell you who was on it or when it came out.
I've got a feeling George Michael might have featured on it. possibly EMF. I don't know. I could look it up, but I'm not going to get bogged down in the
No.
news side when neither of us have the album.
No.
But,
Well, I'll have a look it up. It'd be interesting.
There is other ones that have come out since then.
Yeah.
Which I know that for certain.
I know there was some sort of book. I don't know. Couldn't tell you what it's about. Came out about 3 years ago, I believe. Because it mentions. I didn't really look at that properly, but some book connected with it.
Right. You didn't need to rate it, by the way, Jason. We're not.
Yeah, all right. I won't do that from now on.
Rating. In fact, it was probably best you didn't rate it at all, really, given that.
All right, I'll shut up now then. Fair enough. Hands up. Anyway, go for it, mate. What's yours? What's your first?
That's one of your guilty pleasures, isn't it? Hands up, baby, hands up.
Yes, I have got that on record somewhere. I've got given it in a charity shop.
Yeah. Right, moving on to favourite compilation albums then.
Yeah.
My first choice, these aren't in any order, I don't think. I've not rated them, and I'm not going to rate them, but rest assured, I still love all 4 of these albums. I've not changed my mind like some 70-year-old dollop. So, my first one, it's one that I got on Christmas Day in 1994. I'd asked for it for Christmas. I don't know if it's. I remember I think it was from a supermarket or something. It might have been the old Sainsbury's we used to have in town. And we were walking around, and they had like a fairly good music section. I've not got a CD player. I wouldn't get one till the following Christmas, 1995. But I wanted this album because there were a band who I'd heard on the radio and in on Top of the Pops and stuff like that, the chart show on ITV for quite a few years. And of course, they went on to become my all-time favourite band. So that certainly narrows down what it could be in relation to the artist. I've got it on CD now, but the tape, I played it to death. Really did. And I think if any I've just spoiled it there. I think if any New Order fans, yes, it's New Order, were watching this now, I think they'd find this choice quite surprising because New Order have released a lot of compilations, and some are considered kind of inferior, and this is one of them. This is the best of New Order, or brackets, the best of, close brackets, New Order. So this came out late 1994. I will read the track listing off it. This was New Order's second compilation, their first one, which most fans still consider to be their best one, was Substance from way back in 1987. That had all their singles on it, and then depending on what format you bought it on, it had all the B-sides as well. But the track listing on the best of New Order is track 1, True Faith 94. That was the single that came off this. Yeah. It's meant to be a slight remix, but to my ears, it sounds identical to the original. Number 2, one of my all-time favourites, Bizarre Love Triangle. That's actually a 94 mix as well. And it is not massively different, but you can spot the differences between that and earlier versions. Track 3 is 1963, another 1994 version. Maybe slightly better produced than the original. Track 4, Regret. Track 5, Fine Time. 6, The Perfect Kiss. 7, Shell Shock. 8, Thieves Like Us. 9, Vanishing Point, which was an unusual choice because that never came out as a single. It was on the Technique album in 1989, and it was also a TV theme as well for Making Out on BBC, I think it was. But bizarrely, it was included on here, even though it never came out as a single anywhere. Number 10 is Run 2. Number 11, a 1994 version of Round and Round. Number 12, World, Price of Love. 13, Ruined in a Day. 14, Touched by the Hand of God. 15, Blue Monday 88. So they put the arguably inferior 1988 mix of Blue Monday on, but I suppose there might be some time constraints. I mean, it's all on one CD. It's not a 2 CD set. I don't think it is. I will double check. No, it's just one disc. And the last track is track 16, World in Motion.
Yeah.
So people always New Order fans consider this to be a bit of a cash grab, and one or two of the other subsequent compilations are similar as well. I don't. Now, I'm going to be a little bit Jason here. I don't think this is the best New Order compilation, but just for the memories I have, because this was the first New Order album I ever got. It was for Christmas. I asked for it, played it to death. It made me get into them and then start collecting them, especially once I'd got a CD player the following year. That's when I really started ramping my New Order collection up, like a year later. So I think it's more a kind of nostalgic thing, really, in my teen years.
I get that.
I would say track-wise, it's got some newer stuff on it than Substance, because Substance was out in 87. But then there's newer compilations. They had one called Singles, which was mid to late 2000s, that was pretty comprehensive. And there's been one or two others as well. They've kind of released maybe one too many compilation albums, New Order. I do have to admit, but just for this was a gateway for me. If you can imagine me holding the cassette now, this is not the literal copy that I had from '94, because it was cassette and upgraded to CD maybe a couple of years later. But as a gateway to what became my favourite band, I mean, this album was literally where it all started.
Yeah. That's a good one to pick, mate. I get why you picked that.
And it is a good compilation. It's the track listing is kind of haphazard. There's no chronology to it.
No.
And so some of the versions are kind of like 1994. Well, if you can call them remixes, I think they've just been kind of sort of tarted up a little bit in.
Yeah.
I mean, New Order technically did not split up, but they're on their extended hiatus at this point. So this was basically, I think Bernard Sumner had a hand in the production of the new version of True Faith and things like that. But generally, it was like, the band didn't come together. It was just the record label, which was London Records at this point.
Quite often happens like that.
Because Factory had closed down a couple of years previously. And it was seen as a cash grab, but it was the first New Order greatest hits, if you like, since Substance back in '87. Everyone loves Substance. I've got two versions of Substance. I've got it on CD and cassette, and if I ever find a decent condition vinyl edition, which doesn't cost too much, I will pick that up as well, and then I'll have it on 3 different formats. But I had to go with the best of New Order because there's great stuff on it, and I remember taking the cassette to school, obviously. And I even got one of my friends into him. Like, I don't know if I think I probably did lend him the cassette. I thinking about it, and it was surprising that I did that, because I don't like lending people things. I'm just worried I'm never going to get them back. But I think I did lend him the Best of New Order tape for about a week or so, and he came back the following Monday or whatever and said, "Oh yeah, that was great. That I've dubbed it. I've taped it across onto a blank tape." Then he's someone, he never got into New Order as fully as I'd done. I still know him now. He's I think his favourite artist of all time is Frank Zappa, or I think, weirdly.
Fair enough.
But he does like New Order still. He's just not really got into them like I have. But it was thanks to me and my best of New Order that he enjoyed them as well. And I used to take my Walkman to school, would listen to it, like share an earphone piece and stuff like that.
Them are the days.
So that's kind of, it's an album that I would recommend, if you saw this and you could probably pick this up on Discogs or something for like 50p or not much more, maybe £1 and then a bit more postage. But if you saw it in like a charity shop or a second-hand department in a record store, then pick it up because it's great. There's arguably 2 better New Order compilations, but for me, this one holds some dear memories. So, Best of New Order is my first pick.
Yeah, that's good, mate.
Just have a quick look at the chat. Jonathan Ring was born in 1994. Thank you for making me feel old.
Yeah.
I only do this show with Jason so that I feel young sat next to him. Interesting choice there from Jack. Heart and Soul by Joy Division. That was another Christmas present. I got that the Christmas it came out, which was 1997. I want to say. I like Joy Division, and when you're a New Order fan, you've really got to dip your toe in Joy Division as well.
Yeah.
But and it was a good box set that, but I'll never like Joy Division anywhere near as much as I like New Order. But I do like them both. Obviously, Jonathan used to collect Now CDs from 44 till probably just over 100. Well, Now 100 probably wasn't too many years ago, was it? Really?
No, I think they're about 115 now, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that.
Alice, you have. That's true. You've got some quite a lot of Now CDs. Yeah.
I believe they're re-releasing a lot of them.
Yeah. I often get marketing emails from places. It's like Now Out, Now Yearbook, 1982. Now that's what I call 60s. But they're just... The trouble is with the Now series, after a while, they are literally rehashing stuff they've sold to you at least once already.
Yeah.
You know, when is enough really with them?
I get with like the really early stuff why they're doing it, right? The really early ones, but I don't know where they are with it now. I think they've released about 20 of them, or reissued. So I get the 80s stuff, yeah. For people that never owned them. To be fair, you could probably hunt them down for a few quid anyway in a charity shop if you really looked. I don't know that I'd want to spend, 10, 12 quid on something that, you can get for 3 and it's exactly the same thing.
So, Jason, it's time for your second pick for your favourite compilation album.
Yep. So, this one is, you said about soundtrack. So, soundtrack I went with. In fact, the next one after this is a soundtrack as well, with a similar theme. And it is Spawn, the album.
Oh, right.
Right.
I've never seen the film, so...
The film was okay. It was a bit run-of-the-mill, right? But I do like the soundtrack a fair bit. I mean, this is a special edition because you notice it's got comic artwork instead of the movie sleeve, shall we say? I do have the movie on DVD. Anyway, so basically it was to do with a movie. Now, just check to my facts and figures here. So, this was 1997, this one came out. And I think I even went to the cinema to see the movie. I can't remember. It's basically based on the Image comic book character of the same name by Todd McFarlane. Very, very popular. Still going today. Maybe not as popular as it was, but, I think they're issued like something 200... No, more than that, actually. About 300 and something now. It's been going for donkey's years. Anyway, the idea of the album was songs that, yes, so some of the songs were on the actual movie. Others, I think, were just inspired by the comic and what the movie was about. So they weren't necessarily on the track as such, but they still call it part of the soundtrack. And it's basically electronica meets rock and metal.
So
that's and I've always liked that kind of blending styles. Jesus Jones, if people remember that I'm into, they're very much sort of a dance rock band, if you will. And then obviously you've got the things like, all right, maybe not dance, but you've got Run DMC and Aerosmith, all that kind of mixing the styles. Anyway, really, really good album. It's really, really strong. Well, all the songs are pretty good. And it was kind of a little bit difficult picking out my favourites. But in no particular order, let's have a look. So we got, Can You Trip Like I Do by Filter and the Crystal Method. Just a very dancey element in there, and then you've got this really, really powerful riff in it, which really makes it stand out. And it is a little bit trippy, you could say. And the funny thing was, when I got this, I thought, I'll look for some more by this band, and I couldn't remember for the life of me what they were called when I was out and about. And I accidentally picked up Feeder by mistake. But Feeder
ended up liking Feeder, yeah.
No, they're nothing the same. They're not the same.
I know Feeder and Filter aren't alike, but you ended up liking Feeder anyway.
Yeah, well, exactly. So just a happy accident, So that's kind of cool.
Your existence is one long, arguably happy accident.
Happy for me. Right.
Rest of us.
Okay. Right. This next one is an absolute belter. Right. It's One Man Army by the Prodigy and Rage Against the Machine's Tom Morello. Absolutely stonking tune. Probably my favourite one on the whole album. You've got all that. It's quite. I suppose it's quite early Prodigy, being that it was. When did I say 97? So when did they start? 94?
No, they were around in 1990.
Were they?
Yeah, because they were like a hardcore.
It was before. It was before. I think it was before. When did Firestarter come out?
96.
Yeah, you're right, because Maxim was on it.
Yeah, they released 2 albums prior to Firestarter coming out.
Oh yeah, I know.
I think that's the problem. A lot of people, for some reason, they think the Prodigy only really started when Firestarter came out. And
well, I've got Charlie on single.
Some of us actually like the old rave stuff. Prodigy.
Outer Space. Yeah, Outer Space is a good one.
Yeah, Everybody in the Place, Charlie, Fire, Jericho, Wind It Up. Yeah, all of them pretty big singles. Most of them made the top 20, and I think a few of them made the top 10.
Yeah, well, as I said, I've got Charlie on the 7-inch single. I've had that for years. Got that when it came out. Anyway, everybody knows. Everybody that knows me knows I love Tom Morello's guitar work, whether he's been with Rage or Audio Slave or doing his own acoustic stuff or whatever. Brilliant guitar. It's probably one of my favourites. But absolutely barnstorming classic track, that is. Really, really strong. Another one I like is Kick the PA by Korn and the Dust Brothers. Now, that's not the Jungle Brothers. These are the Dust Brothers, the producers.
Yeah.
And they've done a lot because before they became successful, Chemical Brothers were called the Dust Brothers, and they had to change it for that very reason. Again, another good track is. It is very much the new metal style. So you've got those dance beats and everything in there, and sort of the pseudo rap singing mix. So there's not a lot of notation in it, but there is a bit when he sings it. But that's a really strong track. I really like that one. Then after that we have Orbital and Kirk Hammett, who are from Metallica. And and that is Satan. You may remember that Orbital released Satan.
I like the if you can call it the original, but like the standard single version of Satan. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had the one that came out in '97 on about three different CD singles, but a really, really good version of it because it's true to the original, but you've got an extra more rocky riff to it than you would have had otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really, really cool. Funnily enough, there is another Metallica one. I think that's with. It might be with DJ Spooky as Who the Bell Tolls, which was not as good, but it was fun all the same. And then my last pick on there is Familiar by Incubus.
Incubus.
Yeah, don't ask me what that is.
That's in a pen factory, isn't it?
Probably. And DJ Greyboy, who I'd never heard of before until this came out. In fact, quite a few of these artists I never heard of until this came out. And it's quite it's a bit of a slow track, but again, you've got. Sorry, I didn't see what that message was that came up.
It was Craig talked about Prodigy.
Yeah. Yeah, just a bit sort of laid back as well, but again, another strong tune. The album was really, really good, and it was difficult for me to pick my favourites out of all of them. But well worth getting if you like strange mashup. Yeah, well, it's not mashup. Collaborations. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be. Is it like exclusively collaborations throughout?
Yes. Yeah. The whole thing. Yeah. You got Moby on there, and I can't remember who he worked with now. I'll try and show you the back. Well, I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not with the light on it, but
okay.
Yeah, but go and have a listen. If you like that sort of thing, you probably love that, and hopefully you'll like the next album that I've got coming up later. But yeah, that's my second pick. Absolutely love it. I got it when it came out. So much better than the movie.
Yeah, well, I can believe that just from like some of the artists you've mentioned and the fact that no one really seems to speak fondly of Spawn the movie. Who was in that?
It's all right. It's watchable.
It was in it. I know nothing about it.
Is it Michael J. White?
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, he's been in quite a few things. Something like that. I can look it up if you want, but I can't remember.
No, it's fine because it's not pertinent to this. I just wondered if there anyone I might have heard of in it. It doesn't sound like it. If Michael J. White was the
very good. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting choice that. So I'm trying to catch a fly that keeps annoying.
No, just saying about the Last of the Summer Wine thing. Yeah, that one featured Napalm Death versus Vera Lynn.
Right.
Can you imagine it?
Yeah, there's probably worse things that have been committed to the physical form, but at the physical foot now that's something different. The physical format I probably should have said.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Interesting. It sounds. I think I'd probably enjoy a lot of that. Actually, so probably an album I ought to check out. Really.
I think you've got. I know one you might like. Marilyn Manson, and the Sneaker Pimps. If you remember the Sneaker Pimps.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So you might like that one.
Yeah. The Prodigy track, I don't think I've heard before, or if I have, I heard it and didn't realise it was what it was.
Don't know that any singles were released from it. Not apart from maybe the Filter song. I think that was the only one. I could be wrong on that. I could be completely wrong, but
and even then, they might not have necessarily been high charting singles.
Don't think it was. No, yeah. I think it scraped the top 40, but I couldn't swear to it.
Alice has talked about her favourite compilations. She mentioned Enya earlier, and also she likes ABBA Gold, one of the Is that the biggest selling compilation of all time now, or it's certainly up there? I think.
It was one of them. Well, certainly at the time it was.
Mm.
You know, when it was released, it's so brilliantly.
Just get reissued in some form or another every year. So I mean, I've got a pressing of it that that's fairly recent, and then they brought another one out since then. So
yeah.
Right. So my second pick. This is from a group, a band who I've liked for many years. Like another one, I remember listening to them in quite early childhood, similar to New Order and certain others. And I've never collected them because they can get a bit samey on some of their work, and you know it's well. Anyway, this album, another one that I had on cassette, probably had it at a similar time, not too long after I got Best of New Order. It was probably one that I probably badgered my mum to buy me when we were out and it were on sale or something like that. But I've actually got two best ofs or greatest hits from this act, both on mini disc. So I was kind of looking at the track listing on both and thinking, I like them both. They're both great. Which one shall I pick? But then I decided to pick the older one because there again, there's something for me. This one just like, especially when I look at the cover, it evokes more kind of happy memories, really, about sort of my early years as a music fan.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about, and it's on mini disc here, the Best of Volume 1 by UB40.
Ah, not what I was expecting.
Now then, for starters, I don't know why, because there's nothing ultra sort of fancy to it, but I've always loved this cover. Don't know why.
Yeah.
Something about all the UB40 lads in a pub speaking to old
Yeah.
just speaks to me.
No, I get that. I get that.
They released a Best of Volume 2, which I also had on cassette in around 95, 96. That came out in late 95, I think. And they kind of recreated this this cover for that, but with more of an up-to-date photo, so they all looked a little bit older. So, but it was so that was kind of a nice touch. Now, weirdly, Best of UB40 Volume 2, which I played that a lot, and I played Volume 1 on tape loads and loads as well. But weirdly, that never came out on mini disc. But then there's a subsequent UB40 compilation that I think would have been from, I want to say, around 2000, that was the choice between this and that one is what I was going to pick today. But I had to pick this one, even though it's all pretty early stuff, and a lot of UB40 I like some of their, I like a lot of their 90s stuff, and this originally came out in about 1987, 88. So
all right,
I've always liked the artwork. I think this is pretty much in chronological order. I will go through the track listing actually, and I'll try and highlight some particular favourites. But so on this mini disc, track number 1 is Food for Thought. Track 2, King. 3, My Way of Thinking. 4, The Earth Dies Screaming. So these are all like your really early, like
don't think I've heard of any of those.
5, Dream a Lie. Number 6, Don't Let It Pass You By. Number 7, Don't Slow Down. Number 8, which you could argue was possibly their like big breakthrough single, arguably, because Food for Thought and King I think did pretty well. But 1 in 10 is track number 8. Track number 9 was their very first number 1, a cover version, but it's one I've always loved, and I always will. Red Red Wine.
Yeah,
indeed. Another cover, I think. Please Don't Make Me Cry. Track 11, another cover. They did do a lot of covers, but these are all off Labour of Love, which I've also got a mini disc, by the way. But that's not a compilation. It's a studio album, but it's a covers album, so that wouldn't qualify for this.
No.
Good as Labour of Love is. Track 11 is Many Rivers to Cross, which I think Jimmy Cliff did that originally.
So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's one of his.
Track 12, Cherry O Baby. I look Many Rivers to Cross and Cherry O Baby. Love those. Love both of those. Them and Red Wine, I think, were three really strong singles, all off the one album. Yeah, they're all cover versions, and I think by this point, which would have been 83, moving into 84, I think UB40 had lost a little bit of credibility because people were saying, well, they're just a pop band who like churning out too many covers. But, you know, I thought they were great.
Not necessarily a bad thing, though.
Number 13, If It Happens Again. That's a great single.
Yeah, I do like that one.
I Got You, Babe. That was, of course, their duet with Chrissy Hynde from the Pretenders. Number 15, another great single. They had a run of strong singles at this point. Don't Break My Heart.
Yep.
Number 16, Sing Our Own Song. Number 17, another all-time favourite of mine, Rat in Me Kitchen.
Yes.
And the final track, number 18, which I think was the one that was previously unreleased, and it was the single that came off this, Maybe Tomorrow, which is all right. It's listable. So a lot on here. It's an 18-track album.
Yeah, that sounds quite good, actually.
Yeah, the stuff's interesting. They did sound more like a proper sort of indie reggae band at that point, and then suddenly you get to Red Wine, and like everything's got this nice kind of sheen to it, and they're having number ones and appearing on top of the pops more. UB40, I think, are a good compilations band. They're a band. A lot of people they seem to have a UB40 compilation, but not really any of their studio albums, apart from maybe like one or two of the Labour of Love series. I can kind of understand that because UB40s, to me, they're a singles band more than maybe it's me miscategorizing to an extent, but some acts I consider they're an albums group, like Pink Floyd, for instance, and then others that say they're a singles band to me. Let me just have a quick look at the chat in here because I'm
sorry, I can't do it myself.
Queen Greatest Hits was the biggest. Yeah, I can believe that, actually, Craig. I bet ABBA won't be far behind though. Alice, and you're going to say UB40. Oh wow, well done, Alice. Because I've not spoke to you about it. Does it have Bring Me Your Cup? Unfortunately not. Volume 2, which I don't own anymore, has it, because it's a later single. That was from like 1993, I think, on the Promises and Lies album. But Bring Me Your Cup is on the very best of mini disc that I've got. So if I had chose that, then that one would have been on it. Oh, here we go. Jonathan's showing us the best-selling greatest hits of all time. Queen's at number 1, Madonna Immaculate Collection at 2, ABBA Gold's at number 3. So it's high up there. And at 4 is, unsurprisingly, Bob Marley with Legend.
I thought that was high up there.
That's the only UB40 song Jack particularly likes. Alice likes UB40, and you really like some of the songs. Good. I'm glad to hear it. So,
that's a good choice, mate.
For certainly, 1980. They formed in the late 70s, but I don't think they charted until 1980. But if you want kind of like a good overview of 1980 to 1986, 87 UB40, then that's a big recommendation from me.
I might check that out on CD, actually, because there's a heck of a lot of stuff on that I like.
Yeah, the like UB40, they've released so many compilations. I mean, like I said, the very best of album I've got, that's got more of a spread, but unfortunately, it's like dropping a few things that I like. So, like, I don't know if Cherry O Baby's on it, for instance. It might be. I can't remember offhand. But I mean, there's even one or two of the singles that didn't make this one. Like they released a single, I think it was 1987, called Watchdogs, and I remember him doing it on Top of the Pops.
Don't remember that one.
I think it was one of the rare UB40 singles where it was Astro on lead vocals rather than Ali Campbell.
Maybe
And
that's why.
that one surprisingly never got included on this. So they couldn't include absolutely everything on this, but certainly all the big top 10 and number one hits like Red Red Wine and I've Got You,
Have they?
Babe are on here.
Have they ever done like a box set best of?
I think they have actually, yeah.
Yeah,
I always
it might be a bit more
always say,
comprehensive.
like just like if you get on Discogs, like the CDs,
Yeah.
and they'll be like sets, like you'll probably be able to get like say like all of the Labour of Loves in one set, or if you
Yeah.
want those, I mean, if you would rather have a compilation, I think they've coupled certainly the volume 1 and volume 2 of the best of together before, into like one set, I think. But yeah, Discogs will be where you want to go regarding that. But yeah, best of UB40, and I really like that cover. I don't know why I like it so much, but that's one of my all-time favorite album covers.
I get it. It's just a bunch of lads, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. It just makes me feel. I don't know. It reminds me of like, I don't know. It feels like someone's taken a photo, like, and they've gone in the Queen Vic in EastEnders or something back when EastEnders was like fairly new and it had like Den and Angie and stuff. It just feels like the lads from UB40 gate crashing the Queen Vic or something to me.
Yeah.
That's what I really love the sleeve, but even if the sleeve were crap, it's still a really, really good greatest hits or best of UB40 Volume 1. And I would recommend Volume 2. I would recommend the other one that I've got. And there's others, UB40, I mean, they're even worse than New Order for releasing best ofs, really.
Yeah.
So, you can really, if you want to dip your toe in the water, Jason, I think that you'll have a lot to choose from, really.
Yeah, well, as I said,
if it's the 1980s stuff you like the most, then I don't think you can go wrong with the one I've got, really. It is a really good compilation. Jack Dubs mentions Pop by Erasure. That's decent. I've not actually got that. There's a reason Erasure are actually reissuing another compilation very soon, but they've put a couple of newer tracks on it. So and that's out in a few weeks' time. So I won't talk too much about that because I pre-ordered it and I will show it in Records Roundup. Yeah, right. So UB40 is my second pick. Jason, what's your third?
Right. Well, continuing with a similar vein to the Spawn album. Again, this is a one from a movie, and it's a collab. And this one, instead of electronica, is hip hop, and it is Judgment Night.
All right.
Right. This was a movie starring Emilio Estevez and Dennis Leary, the comedian, if people remember him.
God, yeah.
Right. He was like the main villain in it. The movie wasn't great. It's quite generic. It's just about a bunch of 4 lads. They're going to go and see a boxing match, and they get lost in a very unsavory part of the city, and witness Dennis Leary doing someone over. And so then basically it's the story is of Dennis Leary chasing after him, trying to track him down and killing them all off, or trying to. So that's the movie. You might get a bit of a kick out of it. When did that come out? I'm just trying to get some dates here in a minute. I think that was 93, actually. So it actually came out before the Spawn one, which was surprised me because I think I brought them in the reverse order and even saw the movies in the reverse order. So, but yeah, again, and I would say this is even better than the Spawn soundtrack. Really, really good stuff on it. And this was so difficult. Bar, maybe 2 songs? All of them are outstanding.
Sorry, just to... I thought you were turning into Melchett from Blackadder then when you went bah. Sorry, carry on.
That's all right. It's fine. Blackadder.
Blackadder.
Right, so yeah, I mean, so basically, it's a similar idea, and I've got a funny feeling this was produced by the same guy. You know, he was one that the guy that organised. I can't remember his name, unfortunately. And there's also, which I didn't know, he also did Blade 2, which is a similar thing again. And I don't have that one. Never listened to it, so might be worth checking that out as well. Anyway, let's give you some track ideas. Right, I've got to make sure I'm looking at the right one. So yeah, first one is "Falling" by Teenage Fan Club and De La Soul.
I do very vaguely recall those two collabing, so that I'm
I think
that came out as a single.
Yes, I believe it did. I don't know that it did particularly well, but I think it did all right. The Teenage Fan Club, were they a Scottish band?
Possibly they were from Britain somewhere. I know that.
Yeah, I'm sure it was Scottish.
They might have been.
Yeah, it's just a bit of an unusual mix, you know. Anyway, yeah, that was quite, as you'd expect, De La Soul, quite a laid back track. And yeah, I think there was sort of like a subtle undercurrent of meaning to it about lifestyle choices and what have you. But really like that song. Then we have
confirmed they were Scottish, apparently. Teenage
Yes.
Fan Club. Yep.
Thank you very much. I thought they were. Yeah, thank you. Then you got Me, Myself, and My Microphone by Living Colour and Run DMC. Now, we all know that Run DMC are good at, obviously, with Walk This Way, we're good at mixing metal and... I
mean, you know, they, along with Aerosmith, arguably invented that kind of crossover. Rap metal.
Right.
Rap, hard rock crossover,
Yeah, but this is a completely original song rather than them sort of doing a sort of collab cover version, shall we say. Really, really funky. Anybody that, you'll know Living Colour from CM Punk's entrance music, Cult Personality. So it's that band. And they've done some cracking stuff. You know, really, really, I think if you listen, there's similarities between them and Skunk in the way that they've got the really good bass riffs going.
Some of the cooler stuff to me, it has a little bit of like a funk sort of groove to it at times. I don't think Personality does particularly, but other cooler stuff I've heard does. Yeah.
You may remember Love Rears Its Ugly Head as well, which is a big
song. That's what I was trying to think. Yeah. I couldn't think through it. I couldn't think of the name.
So it's got that funky undercurrent to it, but it is quite hard rock as well.
Yeah, it's
but no, really, really good tune. What's that? The original? Yeah, no, I never got that. War Child compilation from 1995. It might be worth looking that up.
I think
is that the one with? Is that the one with a feeder were on?
95. I don't know.
Because they did.
There's been a few of them, so they might have been. I'd have thought Feeder might have been on a later one because
there was certainly they did
early 2000s, aren't
they? Did a version of they did two covers. I can't remember which one was on a charity album. They did "The Power of Love" by Frankie Goes to Hollywood and "Everyday Hurts" by REM.
Everybody Hurts, yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those two that was on the War Child album. I'm pretty sure of it. Okay. What else was on there? Oh yeah, then we got Another Body Murder by Faith No More and the Booyah Tribe. That's pretty cool collab in itself. Don't know much of Booyah Tribe, but I always quite like Faith No More. And again, they sort of had a sort of semi-funky undertone as well, didn't they? Faith No More.
Yeah.
You know,
I'd say so, yeah.
And I think that's probably thinking about when it was the Mike Patton era rather than, I can never remember the original singer's name.
Yeah, Mike Patton, yeah.
No, there was a guy before him.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a guy.
I'm familiar with him.
Yeah. Well, that's what most people know. But no, that's a great tune. It sounds almost. I don't know if it's intended to be, but it sounds quite tongue in cheek in a way. And they, Faith No almost. I thought for a lot had that kind of style to them. I think some of the songs were quite serious, but you almost like they were semi having a bit of a laugh about it as well.
Yeah.
Then we have Missing Link by Dinosaur Jr. and Del the Funky Homo Sapien. Now, I think it was on Clint Eastwood. It was one of the Gorillaz tracks anyway. Del features on that, and he's got quite a laid-back rap style. Dinosaur Jr. was sort of known for they're quite sort of.
Were they a bit grungy, Dinosaur Jr.?
Yeah, they were, but they were. I think they were more like Jane's Addiction and say Nirvana.
Mm.
You know, there was sort of a slightly more laid back in their approach. The big song I know of theirs was "Take a Run at the Sun," and I absolutely love that song. Really, really good song.
I don't know it. I don't think so anyway.
I know the final one was "Come and Die" by Therapy, who you may well remember.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, Irishman, really, really good band. And Fatal. I think that's how they pronounce it because of the way they've spelt it. How they spelt it. Fatal, whatever. Again, another really strong song. But most of them are on there. You got, I think, Stabbing Westward and Winks on there. House of Pain is on there. Yeah, it's just really, really good artists. And it was so difficult to choose my favourites. And it's probably one of those albums that when I listen to it again, I'll probably change my mind as to what my favourite ones were. It's that sort of album.
Yeah, it's nice to have an album like that, which is so strong you can like sort of your favourite changes quite a lot.
I mean, as I said, there was a couple of songs that perhaps aren't as strong, but they're still good. You know, they're probably the weakest songs on the album, but you know, if you want that, I would say even better than the Spawn album. Right. I think it works a lot better, in my opinion. Even though the movie was pretty generic, you know, it's definitely worth checking out. I can show you I'll show you the front because you'll probably see it better again. Sorry about the glare. So you can see the sort of bands that were featured on there.
Yeah.
So it's quite a good mix of styles.
Yeah.
So fantastic. I really, really, really love that one.
Interesting album. That another one I ought to check out what's on it.
Definitely, yeah. Well, collabs is always a good. Well, no, I say it's always a good thing. It's always an interesting thing. I mean, the tracks may not always be the greatest, but some, when they work really well.
Yeah.
So definitely worth checking out.
From my very limited knowledge of it, sounds like another good choice there, Jason. No complaints here. I think you might enjoy my third choice actually, because I've gone away from a particular artist's greatest hits to a more. I would say this is it's definitely a various artist compilation, but I suppose it could also almost be categorized in soundtrack as well. Albeit it's like a compilation of stuff from soundtrack.
Gotcha.
I'm a massive fan of the film franchise, and this is one of my favourite mini discs because a lot of mini disc albums are rare, but this one is quality because I'm a big fan of the film franchise, and a lot of the themes. That's probably a good clue. Are absolute classics as well. I'm talking about the best of 007 or the best of Bond, James Bond 007 on MD.
That's not the shaken but stirred one, is it?
No, it's not. No. So this came out. This would have been around 1999 because the last track on it, and I certainly need to put my glasses on for this because the text is tiny on the back.
That's why I've not listed all the tracks because it's so difficult on my site.
God, even with my glasses on, it's we can hold it at a certain angle. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last movie covered on here. Well, I'll get on to it. I'll read them all out. So,
Okay.
track number 1 is what we all know. It's the James Bond theme, brackets from Doctor No, but it's been used pretty much for everyone. Number 2 was Goldfinger by Shirley Bassey from the film with the same name. Number 3, Nobody Does It Better from The Spy Who Loved Me, Carly Simon.
Brilliant song.
Interesting. I forgot about that because I've not listened to this in quite some time. They're not putting them in chronological order here, but I think it's still pretty comprehensive. We'll see.
Yeah.
Number 4, absolute banger of a pop tune, View to a Kill by Duran Duran.
Yep, agreed.
Number 5, another one I like, For Your Eyes Only, from the film of the same name, Sheena Easton. Number 6 is one that's really grown on me over the years. We Have All the Time in the World by Louis Armstrong.
I love that song.
Yeah, it's a really sort of evocative, and it pulls at your heartstrings, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Oh,
Yes.
that was like the main theme running through On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which was, of course, the only Bond film starring George Lazenby, and one of the best Bond films of all time, in my opinion. It's a really good one. That I think people do it down a bit because of Lazenby, but it's a good one. Number 7, Live and Let Die by Paul McCartney and Wings.
Excellent tune.
Yeah. Number 8, All Time High by Rita Coolidge. That was from Octopussy in 80.
Don't remember that one. I know the film, but I can't remember the tune.
It's all right. It's never going to be up there as one of your classic Bond themes, but it's pleasant enough. It's just a bit. It's a bit forgettable. Really.
It would have been very difficult to do a song called Octopussy, wouldn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah. Number 9, another one of my very favourites, and even better than Duran Duran was when Aha did the Living Daylights a few years later. Fantastic stuff. Love Aha's Living Daylights. Number 10 is License to Kill by Gladys Knight without her pips.
Yep.
Number 11 is From Russia with Love by Matt Monro. That's obviously from the film of the same name. Number 12 is Thunderball by Tom Jones. 13, You Only Live Twice by Nancy Sinatra. So it's, even though they've put them in a slightly strange order, it does seem like we're getting all the Bond themes up until the late 90s here.
Yeah.
Number 14, I'm struggling again here. I need to hold it right. Number 14 is one, it's definitely her worst Bond theme. It's Moonraker by Shirley Bassey.
Yeah, it's not the greatest.
It's a little bit too samey to what came before it without being particularly special.
Yeah.
Number 15 is On Her Majesty's Secret Service by the John Barry Orchestra. So I suppose that kind of, well, I don't know if you can class We Have All the Time in the World as the official theme for that. It was more like the love theme, weren't it? But
yeah, I think All the Time in the World was at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I think you had like a motif of it running at certain points, but the proper song was at the end. Yeah. Number 16 is The Man with the Golden Gun by Lulu. I forget Lulu did a Bond theme.
I don't remember that one.
Number 17, I think, is arguably, although some people probably prefer Goldfinger, but arguably Shirley Bassey's best one, Diamonds Are Forever.
I would agree with that.
Number 18 is GoldenEye by the late Tina Turner. And rounding the album off at number 19, so there's a lot of stuff on here, is Tomorrow Never Dies by Sheryl Crow. So if you're looking for garbage with The World Is Not Enough, Madonna, Die Another Day, etc., you'd need to get a later version. This version is great because it's on mini disc. This probably gets a reissue every time a new Bond movie comes out.
Well, makes sense.
You have a best of James Bond compilation, but then like every few years if a new Bond film is coming out, then it's like you need to put the latest one on. So
are we on about what?
Bond?
Well, we're on about Bond 25 now, or something like that, aren't we?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so theoretically there would be 26 tracks because of the two from the one film.
Yeah.
I might have to look for that as well.
I sometimes think about either getting an updated version of this on vinyl, but then I think, well, just for the sake of a few more tracks, I don't know. And then I think I'd probably rather collect the individual soundtrack albums, but there'd
Possibly.
be a lot to get. There's someone I watch on YouTube called Martin Harris, and he's been picking up quite a few of the Bond soundtrack LPs cheap recently. Like some of the old ones, he's like got you can tell like the original pressings and stuff because they look a bit old. But
cool.
He's a big Bond fan, and he's slowly collecting all the soundtracks. And I think, well, I love Bond. I love the music. I like a lot of the incidental music.
Yeah.
I know Dr. No had some lovely sort of calypso type music in it.
Yeah.
But
obviously you don't get that on there.
Yeah, if you're a Bond fan, to any extent, you need some sort of compilation. When you think about James Bond, one of the first things you think about is like the themes, the various. It's like music and Bond are like into. They just.
Yeah, I mean you're always thinking they're going to go about who's going to be the next Bond or whatever, but you're also thinking about who's going to do the next theme.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's often
it's like that.
That's often the debate, and it used to be interesting hearing about acts that submitted a song to be a Bond theme that was never picked up. I mean, the famous example I always think of for that is Pulp. They did a song called "Tomorrow Never Dies," but they got looked past in favour of Sheryl Crow, but their song did end up on the "This Is Hardcore" album, so it is out there. I think they slightly changed the lyrics.
Because I know there's quite a few sort of bootlegs of tracks that didn't make the cut.
Probably is. Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out. But I would like to get that Shaken Not Stabbed one, not Stabbed one, because it's all remixes, and David Arnold did the updated Bond thing. It's all to do with him. So
there's a lot of there's like unofficial one. There's like not people who aren't the John Barry Orchestra have released like covers of certain Bond music, and there's a lot of Bond stuff to collect in the in the vinyl and in the CD realm and all the rest of it. It's I stopped myself at the moment, but I could quite dip my toe in all that because there's a lot there, and there's some really interesting and unique stuff. I think there's there's like Bond music done in certain styles by unusual artists. There's it's interesting, but at the moment, I'm happy enough with this as my sole piece of Bond, and a James Bond related album. The films are the most important thing for me and always will be. But what do you think of when you think of James Bond? You think of the Bond theme and all the great music and maybe some of the not so great music. But but I think when you weigh it against each other, I think there's been more decent Bond themes than there's been bad ones overall. I would say, in my opinion, anyway. But
definitely.
If you've got a mini disc player and you don't mind paying a fortune for this, I mean, I don't think it was ultra cheap for me. It was probably getting on for about 40 quid, but I bet it's even more. It's probably double that now.
I'd imagine.
If you find this on CD, or preferably if you find a later version that's got some of the newer ones on, but then pick it up. The Best of Bond, James Bond 007, the 1999 edition is my third pick. Craig Bell's just saying something interesting here. Yes, I remember hearing about that. Ace of Base had done a song that was turned down for GoldenEye.
Yeah, that could have been interesting.
I don't know where I heard that from, but it doesn't seem that long ago I heard about that. Yeah.
Maybe that's one of their albums.
I love Ace of Base. I'm actually pretty gutted that that got turned down. I'd be interested to know if it's a track I might have heard from elsewhere. Yeah, interesting.
I wonder if there's like a deluxe version which has like omitted tracks, shall we say? Because that
I've not come across it, if there is,
Yeah.
but that's not to say there isn't something along
Well,
those.
there's that Spawn. I can't tell you what the song
There's a
was.
lot of Bond music to collect,
Yeah.
unofficial and semi-official and unofficial as well.
Well,
You
I
know,
know on
it's
the
it's a franchise that just lends itself to, like, people releasing records and
yeah,
albums.
yeah. Well, I'm just saying, going back to the Spawn thing, there was, I can't remember who they did it with. There was a song that was only on the, I think, Japanese version by Apollo 440 and another band, and I can't remember who it was by now. And there's a couple of things like that. They've come up with songs come out on demos and stuff, but never official releases. So, and looking through things like Discogs, it is possible to get a hold of them if you search hard enough. What the quality is like, it could be absolutely dreadful. I don't know, but it might be worth having a look on there and seeing if the tracks actually exist on some format or other.
Yeah, right. Jason, have you got? It'll be your fourth and final.
Yep, I do.
Best compilation album in your collection.
Now, this is probably one of the first CDs I ever got. I think I asked for it for Christmas. I believe the same year I got my DVD CD player. So I just seen what that says.
It was just Craig confirming it was Ace of Base was.
Yeah, go on. Yeah. Anyway, this is what I call a proper compilation album. Right, this came out in '88, and it is rap tracks.
Right. Okay.
Right. And the thing is, they call it rap tracks, but there are some house music tracks on there, so it's not always rap. And some of the songs, yes, you could argue because it's got a sample of a rap track. For argument's sake, got bass. How low can you go? Which sampled Public Enemy, but you wouldn't say that was a rap song, would you?
No.
No, so it's that kind of thing. Mega Blast by Bomb the Bass, right? It's not really a rap track.
No.
Although there is a rap version.
It's a great track. It's probably my favourite of theirs.
Yeah. Anyway, that's basically the side. I think I got it for Christmas '88. Some really, really cool stuff on here. Some of it's a bit twee now, but by today's standards. So got. Do you remember BVSMP?
I do. I love that.
I need you. You like that, do you?
Great track.
Yeah,
it was a really minimal sounding track, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
It sounded like something someone could have put together in like the bedroom on like a little Bon Tempi or something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's great. Yeah.
Fair enough. I find it a bit
I've
twee.
not heard that in a few years, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have to dig that one out on YouTube. I think.
I mean, you got Parents Just Don't Understand by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Right, Kid and Play. If people remember Kid and Play, the one with the big Barnet.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But no, as a kid, I absolutely love it. I understand it's still a strong album, even now. Some of the tunes may sound a little bit dated and maybe not aged well, but it's still fantastic. Right. I'll give you my top 5 anyway. So you've got an absolutely barnstormer. You've got Soul by Eric B. and Rakim.
Yeah, great stuff.
Probably the only song of theirs I prefer was, I think it was Paid in Full, and it was the Norman Cook remix, 7 Minutes of Madness. But no, I really like Eric B. and Rakim. Certainly when from that era anyway. Really, really good stuff. Then we have The House That Jack Built by Jack and Chill. Again, it's not a rap song at all. If you remember that one.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Great song. Absolutely love it. And I wish it's what I've always meant to check out their album and to see what the album was like, because there was 2 songs on there that I've got on single. And I thought, I've never got round to listening to it again to see whether there's anything else cool on it or not. But I think I only remember the 2 songs. And I can't even remember what the second one was called. What else we got? Oh yeah, speaking about them previously, don't believe the hype by Public Enemy. Brilliant. That was the first song I ever heard of theirs, and probably that, along with "Walk This Way," was probably one of the first rap songs I heard.
Yeah.
Right, really, really good. You got Flavor Flav's unique voice on there as well, and that always struck out to me a bit like Cypress Hill. One of their rappers has got a really unique voice, hasn't he? Is it Be Real?
I'm not sure the names, but
Yeah, but you know the one,
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, just absolutely fabulous track. And another album. I would like to try and get all the early Public Enemy albums. Actually, I've got Fear of a Black Planet, which is brilliant. But it's what's it? Bum Rush the Show, and is it Takes the Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back? I think it was theirs. Yeah.
I've got a couple of them. I think that they
Yeah.
are later reissues, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my Fear of a Black Planet is a more recent issue. I think it's one of the back, the Back in Black vinyl releases.
Yeah, they're the ones I've got.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, Bob the Bass from Mega Blast, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's my favourite Bomb the Bass track, Mega Blast. It's brilliant.
It's up there. It's up there. Maybe Bug Powder Dust was stronger. But no, that was. Did you know that it was actually they call it Hip Hop and Precinct 13?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Precinct 13 was actually a movie, and that's where they get the hook from. It's from the movie.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, which I didn't know until recently. But no, that's an absolutely stunning track. And a lot of you gamers will know that tune if you ever played Xenon 2. Because it was featured on that. I don't know if you remember that game, Jimmy.
No.
No. It's basically a standard shoot 'em up with loads of add-ons, and you can pick up bonus weapons or what have you. But really, really suited the game really, really well. And I think it was we were talking about retro gaming tunes a while back. I think it was David Whittaker, who's quite well known for doing stuff. He did the if you like conversion. So it's not got all the stuff obviously from the original. But if you count it as a remix, which effectively it was, that's really strong as well. So I absolutely love that track. Brilliant. As you say, one of the best one of the bass tracks there is.
For me, definitely, yeah.
And then the last one is Cool Mo D with How Do You Like Me Now?
Oh, I don't think that's no.
It's very much a sort of a diss track, shall we say, to other MCs, which was quite common for the time, really, wasn't it? Sucker DJ.
Certainly got a lot more widespread into the 90s diss tracks. Yeah, I suppose they did exist quite early on with.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily aimed at anyone in particular. It was just saying, I'm a better MC than you are.
Right.
You're a sucker because you can't do it right or whatever. Bloody blah. Right. And I think this was sort of like all to the doubting Thomases who said he couldn't do it, and he went and he did it, and did reasonably well at it as well. So it's not really a lot to talk about on that one. Again, I can't really show you the cover very well.
Mm.
If you've got the old pause button and you want to blow it up and have a look, but there are some there's places like Top Billing, Houdini. Groups like that, ones that you probably only remember them for the odd single or so. But yeah, a good way, and then this reason why I got it was a good way to get into hip hop you never heard before.
Yeah,
I've got quite a few other sort of compilations like that, house ones. Do you remember oh crikey, what the heck was it called? Not Deep Burn.
Deep Heat.
Deep Heat, thank you. Yes, those were cracking albums. I didn't feature them.
Yeah, I remember they released like sort of little singles, didn't they? From
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, that was sort of like a remix thereof, but they did like a full compilation albums. They did about 12 of them, I think. And I used to have them all. Where they went to this day, I still don't know.
Yeah, they were good. Yeah, they were good though. I never owned a full album, but I liked the singles that came.
Well, again, you know, if you want to get into a particular genre, then picking up some of these CDs, you know, and especially if it's the original stuff, because some of the original stuff is so much better than some you get out today, all this mumble rap and stuff like that. You know, although some people like it, so fair enough. But yeah, if you want to, you know, sort of the origins of different stuff, go and get some of the early 80s compilation and you know, to a certain extent, early 90s compilation CDs, because there's some really, really strong ones on there. With some really, really cracking tunes.
Yeah.
Well worth a listen. Well worth a listen. And a good way of filling gaps in your record collection if you just want the odd song, you know. Excuse me.
Yeah, that sounds an excellent compilation. That I'm familiar with everything apart from the last one of your favourites. You mentioned.
Cool OD, yeah.
Well, all of the stuff you mentioned prior, love it.
I mean, it's got
certainly a highlight for me.
Yeah.
It's
got Yas on there as well.
I'm actually not that fond of her. I can tolerate her. I wouldn't say I dislike her. I'm just not.
Yeah.
I can take a lever, to be honest. I mean,
the
cold cut were all right, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
S Express as well was on there as well with Superfly guy.
Yeah. No, it sounds like a really strong compilation.
It is. It's very good.
Yeah, good choice. Yeah,
and it was fun to, because it's not one that it was always, when you suggested the topic, it was always one that stuck in my head as to do. And I just this last week I've gone back and listened to it again, right? And it just brought back, you know, good memories of having it, you know. As I say, one of the
certainly the first two albums I've shown, just, you know, in relation to my own collecting history and what I was doing in my teenage years. Yeah,
and why not?
Really bringing back memories, certainly.
Yeah.
And my fourth and final pick is I probably had this album. In fact, I definitely had this album on cassette way before I ever had the New Order or UB40 ones in the mid-90s. I would have had this. I might have got it the year it came out, probably Christmas 1990, I think, or maybe the following Christmas if I'd had it a year later, maybe. But it's one I can show you on vinyl. It's one I've talked about a little bit on my channel before. For an artist who although I don't listen to any of her recent stuff, and what I have heard, I've not been impressed with. As far as the 80s and into much of the 90s go, she was a fantastic artist overall, with a couple of missteps. Yeah, you think you know what I'm going to show, don't you?
I think so.
Showing the Immaculate Collection by Madonna. There we go. Let's try not to.
That's a fair shout, mate. That's a fair shout.
Yeah, Madonna's first greatest hits, and it's still the best one. Yeah, it's obviously, given when it came out, which was 1990, it doesn't have. It's not going to have your Ray of Light and Frozen and even Erotica and things like that on. But there's so much strong stuff on here, and like the UB40 album, it's had to leave stuff off. I mean, there's big singles that don't appear on here, like Causing a Commotion, for instance, which you could argue isn't one of her strongest singles, but it was still a big hit. It got to number 3.
Yeah, I quite like that one.
But I will go through the tracks and just pick out a few of my particular favourites.
Okay.
I think this is in pretty much chronological order from when she released these singles as well. So side 1 starts out Holiday, Lucky Star. I think Lucky Star is quite an underrated track. It's got a nice kind of like mid-80s electro sort of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Borderline, pretty good.
Yeah.
Like a Virgin, I quite like that. I was never overly fond of it, but it's fine.
Played far too much.
Material Girl, I think that's a strong single.
Yeah.
Crazy for You, I quite like that. Into the Groove,
Yeah.
not bad. Live to Tell, now I think Live to Tell's one of her best ballads, personally. I think if you listen to Live to Tell,
yeah, I'm just going through in my head. Yeah,
I think that would go down as one of my all-time favorite Madonna singles, not just ballads, but it's beautiful the way that whole song's great. Side 3, Papa Don't Preach, yeah, good, but a lot of like some of the other ones, maybe a little bit overplayed. Open Your Heart, decent. Laurie's La Bonita, always love that. Great.
No, that just drove me nutty.
Now, I did show it on a Records Roundup.
I know you did, yeah.
Ago, but there was a great cover version of that came out on 7-inch quite recently, and I can't remember the name of the band now, but they did like a kind of psychedelic rock cover of it, and it's really good.
Interesting, yeah, interesting.
Yeah. And closing out Side 3, another one that's going to be up there with my all-time favourite Madonna singles, the almighty Like a Prayer. I will never not love Like a Prayer. And there's been some great remixes of it that I've heard as well. Side 4, I would argue, is possibly the weakest part of the album. It's Express Yourself, all right. Cherish is good. I like Cherish.
Yeah.
There again, other stuff from around this point, like Dear Jessie, isn't on here. Dear Jessie.
That's a crime.
I know. I think Madonna did pick the track listing herself, so it was up to her what she put on and left. Yeah, I think it could be argued she left off one or two actual really strong ones. Vogue, it's all right. I don't love it, but I like it just enough to think, okay, it deserves to be on here. Yeah. And then what would have been the 2 new tracks for the album? The excellent Justify My Love, which of course was written and co-produced by Lenny Kravitz, and Rescue Me, which actually Rescue Me is a little bit weak, I'd say. That might be the weakest. I
really remember that one. I know the name, but I couldn't tell you what it sounded like.
Yeah, it's this one's a gatefold album. Yeah. Can't remember what year this pressing was. I think this might be not original, but sort of quite early 90s. Actually, I can't remember. But it's got a bit of an essay in it. I think I know Madonna has released other compilations since. She did like it wasn't a part 2 because she didn't call it the Immaculate Collection 2, but she collected a lot of the singles that came from the early 90s into I think probably the mid or late 2000s. And
I think I've seen that.
I think it might have been called Celebration. That actually,
not sure.
And she released another compilation in the early 90s that was just full of ballads called Something to Remember. But it did have a few new tracks on it, so it was a bit like a bit half a compilation, half a new album kind of thing.
I do like when artists do that. It gives you just that little bit more to make it worthwhile buying.
Well, if you want an example of just how good Madonna was and how great her singles were in the 1980s, into 1990, then all you need is the Immaculate Collection. It is what it says it is on the tin. It's a collection of immaculate pop singles, as far as
I think I respect her more than I used to at the time. Because as we've said, a lot of the tracks were overplayed, and I think that's what I found a little bit off-putting initially. You go back and listen to them.
There isn't a really bad track on here. Like there's some that I think are verging on maybe below average, like Rescue Me and Express Yourself. But everything else, I would say, is at least good to outstanding. Outstanding, like Live to Tell, Like a Prayer, very, very good, like Justify My Love, Laura's La Bonita, Borderline, Lucky Star, fantastic. And even the stuff that maybe was overplayed at the time, you can listen to it now and you can appreciate what good pop singles there were.
I still don't like a Virgin though. That's just it's just so over the top.
Well, maybe it is, mate. But I mean, it's each to their own, and it was a big single. And
indeed, I'm not saying you should be
included. Virgin was missed off this. I think.
Oh no, agreed.
that's the one thing you can say against this is that there's actually Madonna singles. I know. Oh, another one I forgot it into on that I love. Who's That Girl?
Yeah, that's strange. That's not on there.
Causing
That's
a commotion. Who's That Girl? Dear Jessie, and I know I'm forgetting a couple of others as well that were big hits. Because let's face it, after sort of Holiday and Lucky Star got re-released, everything she was doing would go in top 10. So
yeah, exactly.
that's just in this country. I'm not even talking about America or anywhere else.
No. Well, she did. She done very well.
What a strong greatest hits album that is. Almost perfect. It's missing a couple, or more than a couple, really, that I think, personally, I would have liked to see on there. But, you can't have everything. It's still an excellent album and a high recommendation. Ignore Madonna from sort of mid to late 2000s to present because she's, it's like embarrassing, a lot of it. I wouldn't even give it the time of day. But 1980s and very, very early 90s Madonna, absolutely marvelous. The Immaculate Collection is an immaculately collected compilation.
As you know, I'm not a massive Madonna fan, but Ray of Light was a brilliant album.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about, this is, Madonna. 1980
classic Madonna,
into very early 90s, because this album came out in 1990 and Justify My Love and Rescue Me with new tracks. But technically, they're the 1990s. But
I just reason I mentioned
I've got Erotica, and as an album, it's a bit patchy. Bedtime Stories is better. Ray of Light is very good. You're quite right. So she did kind of get back on form towards the mid to late 90s.
What's that bloody awful album she did for Dick Tracy?
Oh, I'm Breathless. Well, I may be talking about something relating to that in a couple of weeks' time, but I'm not going to say anymore. I'm not going to say anymore because that's giving spoilers out. But that's going to be it from us tonight. Thank you to everyone who's contributed in the chat, as always. If you're watching on demand on the replay, I appreciate that as well. And you're more than welcome to leave your comments as to your favourite compilations, or just give us some feedback on this video down in the comments section. But we'll be back in a couple of weeks. I know what we're going to be talking about in a couple of weeks. Jason knows as well. I discussed it with him briefly before we went live tonight. I think it's going to be one you'll all quite enjoy. So I do hope that you join us for that. And of course, join me for all my uploads and videos that are coming out over the next couple of weeks, and on Jason's channel too as well. Give him a sub, but not suitable for mum. Give me one if you haven't already. I don't know. I don't normally ask for subs. Why not?
Views will be fine. Doesn't have to be a sub.
When in Rome, etc. But thank you, everybody. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks for number 9 in the old Sodcast. So cheers, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.